bill comes at the end of your meal, and now you must make the terrible decision of how much to tip your waiter. They may not have provided the best service, but you still feel obligated to give them something for their time. We always feel this need to tip, and as some people may know, restaurants do not pay their waiters enough for them to make a living. So it's our responsibility to pay for the waiter's wage. And this should not be our responsibility. It should be the responsibility of restaurants to pay their waiters. I first came about this topic because I heard from friends and family about how much waiters make. I decided to do some research, and I think I found some solutions that can help solve this crisis. So, in today's presentation, I will discuss the problems with the concept of tipping in America and what has caused these problems. Then, I'll present some solutions that we can take as individuals and that restaurants can take to help their waiters. Let's get started. So, firstly, restaurants do not pay their waiters enough. And this leaves the customer to pick up the slack. They must provide money for the waiters. So firstly, to analyze this problem behind tipping and the waiter's salary, we'll analyze the average salary of a waiter. In a study on why customers tip, Stephen Keshnar reported that waiters on average make $10 an hour or $20,790 a year. This money is not enough for a waiter to make a living, and it's certainly not enough to support a family. So in this first slide, you can see this is the poverty rate for workers in America, and waiters, they are almost double what the other workers have for the poverty rate. Now, secondly, we'll discuss how much customers tip on average. According to Lorraine Glennon, you're supposed to tip 15 to 20% of the pre-tax total of your bill. Tipping this much would extremely help a waiter, and it may seem like a lot, but in reality, waiters do not make that much, and the 15 to 20% will definitely help them. There's also subtle factors that affect how much waiters will receive as tips. In a study on the performance of waiters, Lee Chu-mei found that when waiters introduce themselves, touch their customers, and often visit their tables, they're more likely to receive a higher tip. These things may just sound like great service, but waiters have to employ these techniques in order to make even a good tip. Lee Chu-mei also found that weather and the quality of food can affect a waiter's tips. And these are things that are out of the waiter's control. They can't affect if there's a rainy day or the quality of the food that the restaurant provides. Now, quickly, I'll discuss why customers feel obligated to tip. Tugba Paula said in his study that the reasons why customers feel obligated to tip is because they're obligated because of social norms, and they feel guilty if they do not tip. This allows restaurants to lower the wages of waiters because they know that customers will most likely provide a tip for their waiter. In this graph, you can see the average tip through the years in the U.S. In the 1980s, it was around 14%, and now in 2020, it's around 20%. This increase in wages allowed restaurants to lower the wages for waiters. Finally, I'll discuss the actions we can take to help waiters out. First, the things that we can do as individuals. Stephen Keshnar states that when tipping is customary, the customer has a moral obligation to tip their waiter. Has a moral obligation to tip their waiter. Or if they're not going to tip their waiter, they should tell their server why or why not. Now, I believe that restaurants should pay the wages of waiters, but for now, I think customers should still tip their waiters. This always helps waiters out, but even if customers are not going to tip, they should tell their server why they're not tipping. This will help the server improve and be able to obtain more tips in the future. Secondly, I'll discuss what restaurants can do to help improve the wages of waiters. In Finette Miracle's report, she found that a ballot in Washington, D.C. raised the minimum wage of waiters to $5 an hour. And restaurants are also required to pay their waiters more if they do not receive minimum wage with their tips and the $5 an hour. So this is a good step forward, but $5 an hour still is not that much for a waiter. In this pie graph, you can see in this city that the minimum wage for waiters was increased. The majority of customers tip the same amount. There's still some that tip less, but this still goes to show that customers will more than likely still tip their waiter. So, in conclusion, a waiter's salary is dependent on you. It's dependent on how much you're going to give them, and this decides how they're going to live. So, for now, you should tip until we can make arrangements for restaurants to pay their waiters more. So when the bill comes at the end of the meal, just remember that your server's livelihood is dependent on you. Thank you.